Fizzle. We got an excellent show here. I want to start off with my partner Dave on the panel. Dave,
My brother.
how you doing, brother? How you doing? And get on Ben Israel,
His
y'all
house,
in the
man.
his house.
Yes, sir.
Now, as y'all know, we've been out for about 3 weeks. Lots been going on, so I brought my esteemed guests here to deal with 3 topics. We want to first deal with Palestine becoming a non-member of the UN. Also, we want to deal with Mohamed Morsi, the new elected president of Egypt, who is backed by the Muslim Brotherhood. And also, we want to deal with some domestic issues, as known as the fiscal cliff. So, Gideon.
Let's get it out hot and heavy.
Now, you know this issue with Palestine. I had to, bring you to the table because it involves Israel.
Absolutely.
They talk about sovereignty. They're now a non-member of the UN.
Well, in America, sovereignty is a bad word. It can get you some jail time because they don't even want us thinking in that sense. But when you talk about Palestinian, and you and I had spoken about this earlier, we, the so-called Negroes, blacks, colors, African Americans, jigaboo, coon, spook, nigga, whatever you are, we are the Palestinians. We are the people that were dispersed from that land. In 70 AD, you had Titus the Roman that came into Jerusalem, and he warred against that city, and our people were seized and were locked in, and after we were locked in, we were then dispersed after we were conquered for being sinful people that would not keep Yah's commandments. Now, the people that are called the Palestinians that are in the land trying to get recognition are not the true Palestinians. They are part of the family of Palestine.
Okay.
The biblical story says that the children of Yah, the true Palestinians, is as upper Palestine as lower Palestine.
Right.
That they would be dispersed from the land because of the disobedience to the Creator in antiquity, and that we would be taken away to a land not our own. So those Palestinians truly are there trying to get world recognition for their plight and trying to get into the land. But as you know, you saw a brother of ours that came on this show for many years. His name was Daniel Israel, a beloved brother of mine who now lives in Israel. Our people are repatriating into the land, but we're not coming in under the banner of Palestinians like we should. We're coming under the banner of the Israelis, because really the Israelis and the Palestinians are one and the same people.
Right.
The reason they're fighting against each other is because America, who is backed by Europe, wants them in that position as a strategic military foothold for them in that region so they can go against Syria, then on to Iran, and then on for world conquest, which is going to big dance. It's going to be Armageddon, where they meet China and the bear.
Wow.
Exactly.
Dave, Palestine being a non-member, you got Hillary Clinton mad. You got Ben Netanyahu, he's mad. Why are they so upset?
Why they're upset is because
They mad about?
when you've been suppressed and you haven't had a voice to speak, the United Nations, which was once called the League of Nations, and they switched the thing around, but when you've been suppressed and you haven't had a chance to say anything, now you're invited to the dance. Now you've been invited to the dance for so many years, I've suppressed you.
Okay.
What are you going to say that is truth, that will move members around to understand, is this possible? Can this happen? And when you suppress that type of stuff, you're in control. But now that's the thing that's shaking everybody in their boots, especially Hillary Clinton, because it's like, oh my gosh, what is about to come? They can speak freely now. They're not under no control. The foot is off the neck now.
Oh, wow. So you mean the truth can come before the war tribunal?
Exactly.
Come up for war crimes?
Exactly.
Oh, man, I guess I would be upset too.
Exactly.
No doubt.
Exactly.
Okay, because, in the neighboring region, we got Mohamed Morsi. He's, they took Mubarak out. They had
The new
Arab
president of
Spring.
Egypt.
Right. So now
Exactly.
you got Mohamed Morsi. Now, Gideon, we talked about the Muslim Brotherhood.
Yes.
Now, you said
The alliance, the Muslim, and I want to go back to Hillary Clinton as
Okay,
well
yes.
with Netanyahu, because in reality, they are pals. Obviously, America is
absolutely.
backing Israel as they always have.
Absolutely.
But see, to show you the disparity, who is the young lady, Miss Rice?
Miss
Rice.
Susan Rice.
Susan
Yes.
Rice.
Susan Rice.
They were choosing her for the next Secretary of State. Is that not correct?
Yes.
Exactly.
But yet, what did the Europeans do? They came out against her. She has impeccable, she's a rogue scholar. Rogue, I accent the word rogue when you had your boy Clinton attached to that. She's a
Okay.
rogue scholar, and she's got all the credentials.
Okay.
But what did the white boys do? They came out against her because they don't like
Well,
us.
they felt uncomfortable with. They said that she said
Benghazi.
Benghazi, that there was a tape called "The Ensign of Islam,"
Yes.
and it was offensive, and so the people rose up, and so she got misinformation, and so now
So did Colin, didn't he? Once they did a colon cleanse, when he told the lies about there being weapons of mass distraction.
That's right.
They were weapons of mass distraction, not weapons of mass destruction. Because what they were doing were distracting the people from the truth. As my brother said, a very wise man, by the way, who they use technology, deception,
That's right.
misinformation, so that our people can continue to be mired in the subtle nuances of American media, which keeps us entrenched in nothingness. Football, basketball,
Exactly.
booty shaking,
Exactly.
Chevrolet and hot dogs.
Okay.
While the world economy around us is in shambles.
Okay.
And they do that well. They do that well. And you look at the media, how you can see truth if you look for truth. So if you're looking to see people rising up against something, anytime you see anyone rising up against something in their expression of emotion, they're expressing the truth. The flip of the switch is you got to see the dictator, how they switch off what's arising.
Kind of like the information they gave with WikiLeaks with Julian Assange.
Exactly.
There you go.
Exactly.
There
So
you go.
whenever information rises up to the top, the dictator switches. Now, to go to show you if the information is rising up for the dictator's favor, the information flows.
Wait a minute.
Because
Absolutely.
it confuses and distracts, just like you
Yes.
said, distracts the number of the masses. Oh, you feel the way we feel. So you're going away, we have our theory. So now we can turn the spotlight on you. Because this is just the way we think. We don't want you to think this way, but this is the way we think.
Because remember now, Hosni Mubarak, when he was deposed and the people rose up against him, I think they put in his brother, or it was some other person before.
some right-hand,
Right, and they rose up. They said, this is basically the
Right.
same. They're another puppet from America. Now, this
Well, the
move-
military is the public of America. I mean,
Thank you.
Exactly.
Thank you. So, but now the people has allowed this last person who did they elect him, or was he seated in that position?
Well,
I don't think they have democratic elections over there at this time.
I
Just the people
mean-
rose up, and then they had to put somebody in a leadership position.
And the best way to find that out is always to find the legitimacy of the party. And I question the legitimacy of the Muslim Brotherhood.
Okay, now, yeah, and you mentioned that when we spoke earlier, because I mentioned that the Muslim Brotherhood has been around and touted to be someone that America is going to fight against ever since they hit Gaddafi the first time. When they hit his palace, killed his son, the Muslim Brotherhood was supposed to be the ones who really developed Al-Qaeda. And that, out of the Muslim Brotherhood, Al-Qaeda came. But now they have a new terror group, and the name escapes me. It's no longer Al-Qaeda.
Taliban?
Huh?
Taliban?
Taliban.
Taliban, yeah. Well, I mean, now, Dave, get in. Y'all can jump in here. I question the legitimacy not only of the Muslim Brotherhood, but Al-Qaeda, because America funded them in Afghanistan to fight against Russia. So they're fighting with weapons that we funded with our tax dollars.
That's
and
right.
So
Right.
I question the legitimacy of these groups. I mean, Dave,
Yeah, I do too, because the reason being is when you feel deep as we do and other folks that's really believing in the truth and see things that's falsifying and stuff, you tend to see what's out there, the movement of information, of false information, when it moves out there and it hits the sectors, corporate, households, everyday type of folks, people in Congress, whatever it may be. when that information moves, it moves up on the people and it misguides them. It leaves them disarrayed. And so in that disarrayment, the ray of, take out the dis, but that ray of information that's dictated to the people.
Teach.
And by those people, when I say those people, those are the ones that's in power. So they move away, ray of information like a beam of light.
That's right.
But it's a false light with so much false truth and hope that it just disarrays the masses. And so sometimes you really have to sit back with all information, just like you spoke with your question earlier, and you have to dissect and pull apart.
Okay.
You have to constantly keep pulling apart from what is spoken to get to that root of the truth. And when you find it, you find that thing to be so small, so minute. It's like a mustard seed.
Well, let me say this, and it was one of the things that Sue Ann Taylor, who is the manager of Comcast Studios here, Studio 225, she said, any hope that's hope isn't false. It's like the people who vote for Barack Hussein Obama under this entity called America that's really is a cancerous carcass that's on the verge of decaying and death.
Exactly.
When they voted for Barack, they voted for his intellect. They voted for Sasha, Malia. They voted for Michelle.
Wait a minute, hold up.
You understand?
I voted for Barack Obama because I want to tax the rich.
And I'm glad you brought that up.
I'm voting for his rhetoric that he speaks.
His rhetoric, because when we talked about taxing the rich at first, let me just say this. You know, we're going to get into that because Mitt Romney, billionaire, am I correct?
Right.
He came in, he's a rich person.
Yes.
But Mitt Romney, after Barack Obama did his investigation, found out that he was paying less taxes than his secretary.
Right.
The rich, so my point is, even though Barack is saying that he's going to tax the rich, Barack and Mitt are working together because they're working for the corporate interests that fuel the economy of this broken down machine called the American capitalist system.
Wait a minute.
Exactly.
Dave, come in here, because I gotta
Come on.
Exactly, because when you really look at it, when you look at his biggest donors, one of Barack's biggest donors was Goldman Sachs.
Teach, baby. Teach.
Then you go from Goldman Sachs, you go from Chase. And so you find out, and all this is up on mine, you find out some of his biggest donors are ones who sit there and say, we don't like what he's doing, but they're funding what he's saying.
Hello?
So if someone is funding what you're saying and they don't like what you're doing, that's a trick.
There's an underlying reason why they're doing that.
Exactly. So out of that trick, you have to find the knowledge up out of that.
Okay.
And that knowledge that you tend to find is always a sense of control. You have to control. If I got to trick you to do something to stay in control, I'm going to do what I have to do.
Exactly.
To make the thing happen. We're going to make it clean, clear for the masses and make it look like we're working hard for their interests.
Exactly.
That's the biggest ploy. That's the biggest ploy of.
Why not just be a dictatorship and, be like
They
China
are a dictatorship.
They are a dictatorship, but you won't see it that way. Because once again, there's a trick.
Exactly.
And the drape is the knowledge.
Exactly. That's right.
So that's the whole thing about it. They're
Teach,
not going to go ahead on and do that type of stuff. So you got to look at everything that we do is kind of like falsifying our commercials and everything. It's selling you an image.
Right.
So if you're used to seeing an image every day on TV, commercials, movies, and things like that, you just take your message and make an image of it and push it to the people, something that they're used to. Don't make it different.
Right.
Because you're making it different, you're causing something. Keep it simple, the same, and push it out there because this is what they're used to.
Let me show you an example of what he means, what he says, that it is a dictatorship. As a matter of fact, they get ready to take the cloak off.
Okay.
Because 2013, I believe, Barack Obama's health care plan is coming into effect.
Yeah, Obamacare.
Obama cares,
Right.
is what they say. But he cares to force you into another tax situation because this is a new tax for all Americans. Ain't no way out of this one, baby. You, me, everybody that goes to these health, these ecclesiastical corporations we call hospitals, are going to be forced to pay a tax for our health care. Suppose you're a herbalist. Suppose you don't like doctors. Suppose that you don't want that type of care. But they're coming out of the bag. You must have Obamacare in this country.
Interesting.
Dictatorship.
That's it.
Dictatorship. Okay, because which I want to go back to the Middle East region, because I know there's a pattern here. You know, first they attacked Libya,
Right.
now Syria and possibly Iran. I noticed how these are all socialist countries.
But see, they're all Muslim countries that have cultural differences, that don't let their women go around butt naked, that don't have the type of social ills
wait a minute,
that we
Get
have.
in. You got Saudi Arabia. They friends with America, and they about as oppressive as any Muslim state. In fact, they have religious police that would knock on your door and say you've committed blasphemy,
Right.
and you've committed witchcraft and sentence you to death. So I don't want to hear nothing about Muslims, because Saudi Arabia is the most oppressive Muslim regime, theocratic regime on the planet.
And remember this,
Yes.
9/11. All the airplane pilots and so forth, the people that were associated with 9/11, the key figures were from Saudi Arabia.
But wait a minute. Again, you say it's the Muslims that America is going after, but I see a pattern. These are socialist countries.
Okay.
Because you got a whole bunch of Muslim countries that are not socialist. Like I said, Saudi Arabia. You got, man, something to my tongue. The rich city.
Not Yemen. I mean, I don't know.
Dubai?
Dubai.
Dubai. Okay.
Right. These are strict Muslim theocratic countries.
Okay.
But you don't see America and Russia up in there because they practice capitalism.
Well, there you go. They've already conformed. What you're talking about is a new world order that George Bush told you about, that the scriptures told you that anyone who has the name, number, or mark of the beast shall be destroyed. Now, if the Creator don't send his son back, great, no problem. We ain't even got to worry about it. But if in fact he does, and we see we're moving toward a cashless society, and we see the dollar dropping, the dollar value. See, right now, the dollar is the world currency.
Exactly.
But Gaddafi was killed because he was trying to unite the African nations. Remember African, where they're over there getting all the resources. China is over there. So they're competing with each other for the resources of the last bastions on the earth.
Right.
Because their next step is space, the final frontier.
Exactly. Exactly.
You know, they recutting old wounds with this economical fiasco, Dave, and now they're back in the Congo. They're back,
You mean back where they started AIDS?
Yeah.
Back where they went introduced
where they-
that pause into our people?
Exactly.
Right, so it seems that they have to return to the
They got to
old-
return back to
roots,
their
baby.
source.
Right.
They got to return back to their source
To
of all the
their
things that they have done.
Mm.
You know, and as you return back to your source, you know all the tricks that you played before. You know all the things that you have done and how you misguided and have people interpret to your controlled thinking.
Okay.
So as you're going back to that thing of the Congo, what are you going back for? Unless you're going, anytime we do something, our United States of America, anytime we go somewhere and we do some things, or we're going to speak on some things, we don't speak too much truth. We speak lies all day long.
Right.
So what type of agenda are we going to the Congo for? There's a deception, there's a lie. There's no truth. There has never, ever been any truth.
That's right.
Until we get to the understanding of there's no truth with the structure, with the government, and the truth lies in with ourselves.
Right.
We have to go find that thing.
Well, I mean, now Gideon, he'll argue about the Bible, but you talk about the Rothschilds and
Bilderbergs,
Bilderbergs.
now
Yeah.
if you take a book
Kennedy's,
like
Getty.
the Bible, the Quran, which has been in circulation for a long time. Now we talked about cartels in Mexico and the corporations.
Right.
So if you got a long-lasting book written in English, and you're saying that this is prophecy,
Right.
it seemed like you're writing out the script and making sure you go with that script, like Israel.
Right. Exactly. Of
like,
course.
You know.
Well, that's
So-
what makes the Bible so powerful. Because you're exactly right. It seems like, and it is, it's the grand master puppeteer playing the puppets. And he's given us the story, which makes it so eminently important for us
So
to
get it.
see the scenario.
Get it.
Yes, sir.
So y'all is using the cartels and the corporations, you using them too? Like
He's using them for their own destruction. Because see, what man has done has in placing these corporations over the world's resources has shown he doesn't have a propensity to save the only spaceship that we have for survival. The earth is under attack.
So we went around for spaceships and
So they
lightning
create
bolts from the sky
spaceships.
and
But see, you and I know that our ancestors were able to use transcendental meditation.
Ah,
We've
get
been
it,
able to
lose it.
use the power of our thought to bring forth life.
get it.
How does life begin?
I mean, but we got to use
Some
I mean,
scientific.
if we're gonna talk about, let's just use the word revolution.
Okay.
You know, I like to look
Excellent
at
term.
people like Che Guevara, you know, that
okay.
actually, you know, put some revolutionary moves into action.
What
you
about
know?
Mamiya Mahmoud Jabbar?
I mean, but he's
Mamiya.
I mean, yeah, he's a revolutionary, but he,
Ain't
you
no
know,
doubt.
I'm looking at some successful revolutions.
Wow.
You
That was
know,
cool.
nothing
He's
against
still
Mamiya.
living, man.
No,
He's still
no,
living.
Mamiya
Hey, that's
is
successful.
no, let me get to it because I don't want people to misinterpret what I'm saying.
Exactly.
Because Mamiya, people like Malcolm,
Yes.
Marcus Garvey are
Yes.
powerful. You know, the Black Panthers are powerful.
Absolutely.
But we gotta
Martin at his
we
end.
got to admit that we've been defeated, though.
We
At the
have.
end of the day,
We
a
have been
failed attempt,
defeated.
You know what I'm
Right.
saying? So I look at
That's right.
successful revolutionaries like Fidel Castro,
Truly.
Mao Zedong.
True.
You know, I look at the Bolshevik Revolution,
Absolutely.
the French Revolution. You know what I'm
Surely,
saying? I look
surely.
at revolutions that have prospered. I hate to say this, but you look at the African Revolution. I love African people, red, black, and green, black power. But man, we lost.
We have.
You know what I'm saying? We lost.
We
So
have.
we have to come up with a new plan, a new strategy, a new tactic, and you
Well,
know.
now, that was a
floating-
revolution in Nigeria called the Biafran War,
Biafra,
where the Igbo, my ancestors, came into that land and they wanted to commingle with the indigenous and did and have done so, but it took what? War. You've already said it,
Okay, but
Black
you're
Son.
talking about
You say
floating
we
on
need a
pyramids
military.
and floating and
I am.
Bermuda.
I am.
Man, come on.
But see, there's spiritual power. See, we deal with powers and principalities beyond the natural capacity to perceive. As my brother, we're spiritual people. We always
Exactly.
have been. And that spiritual power is what's going to fight for us. When we see Elder Sundown, he said he's in touch with the God that makes the earth fire through the universe. It's true. And he has his hand on you, and he has his hand on our people. So when we look at America's condition, it is because of the ill treatment that they have perpetrated, not only on the earth and its populace, but on God's people that did nothing but take care of their children, raise them up to be the #1 nation on the planet.
All right, 770-559-2999. Y'all call in and chime in on this conversation. Dave.
Okay.
We know there's like 2% or 1% of rich, and they have I like to call war on the workers, basically.
Exactly.
And they're strategic. The corporations, the way they wage war on us is by shipping jobs first to Mexico.
Exactly.
If Mexico, they rise up because they want wages, and they ship it to China, and then they ship it to India, because you got people rising up in China saying, we want more wages.
Right.
Exactly.
So, you know, Gideon talks about a spiritual
Don't forget
warfare.
McDonald's now.
McDonald's,
They
right.
on
Right,
strike
war
right
on the
now.
workers, right. So-
$15 an hour.
So my thing is, you know, we still dealing with this fiscal cliff. My thing is, I mean, what his solution is a spiritual warfare, and you agree with him. I mean, what?
Give
Can we-
us a practical
Yeah.
revolutionary.
I'm asking, can we get some practical earth realm solutions here? Oh, we got a caller? Caller. Caller?
Tell them to speak.
So
Speak up.
speak, caller. Okay, we're gonna get those lines fixed. Oh. Okay, that's okay. We can hear you. That's the studio. They have to cut you up just a little bit.
We still have that caller?
Okay, caller, go ahead.
What I was
Caller.
trying to call in about was what the brother said that we lost as Africans but we continue to talk about stories that CNN and all the other stations talk about daily, but we never talk about anything that's going to reform our community.
Yes, we have.
Well, actually, some might say, I mean, let's look at the community in Los Angeles or California, or as the essays would say, Khalifa. You know, they had a grassroots, and they put it, I think it was Proposition 34, which Monsanto was saying, look, ain't nothing wrong with the food we making, and they're saying, no, we want y'all to label the food. So in that community, just like the rest of the nation, because one thing I can unite on with all people of all religions, you know, I'm an atheist, but I can agree with most black people, most white people, most Hispanics, we want clean food and clean water.
Exactly.
And so if
Clean
you're not
air.
dealing with clean food, clean water, yeah, you're not dealing with the community. So no, we are dealing with the community because all this affects food.
Exactly.
You deal with Syria, Iran, and Libya, I see a pattern here which dealt with countries that had a socialist system, meaning that the workers
Exactly.
getting a share of the profit as opposed to a private 1% getting all the profit. So,
Right.
you know, at the end of the day, if you have a community, that means you have a community of workers. You either have the 99, 98%, or you got the 1%. So when I talk about the 99%, it's talking about your community. Dave,
right.
you want to chime in on that?
Yeah, and when the caller was speaking about the sense of community, and I think he said something about CNN.
Right.
That's what he said.
Okay.
Then again, here's that thing about we're getting together. When you spoke about there's not been a very successful African American revolution, or African revolution has always been some other type of revolution that was
Right.
very successful. Well, why is it against that African revolution is not successful? Because this African revolution was the truth of all truths.
Exactly.
Okay.
So everything else kind of dictated from what they seen that was up over here. You suppress this thing, but all and everyone else, Mao Zedong
Yes. But
and Fidel Castro,
Yes.
they tend to see this revolution boiling with the truth. Wait a minute, that's truth. So as you suppress this, and we've been suppressed for so long,
Thank
that's
you.
right.
others look at our example and take off. So while we're suppressed, the thing is suppress and divide you. So in our community, there's like the brother spoke earlier about CNN, there's always that divide in our community.
Right.
There's, if you come up with the grandest idea, there's 10 outside the doors who's going to go against you
Right.
and not going to form with you.
Right.
Why is that? Because the information from the mass media and what you see, what you hear, tends to come in here, six your mind up. You become misguided, undecided, then you disregard what your brother is saying, which is a focal point,
Right.
and which is the truth. So you
Right.
disregard anything that comes to you. So being in that, it separates us, and we get to the point where it's like, I can't stand this anymore. I want truth. I want to form something.
Right,
Well,
right.
when you form, you find yourself here, your next brother is here, and your next brother is here, and we do not come in close together. And
I
once we
agree.
do, then someone or some entity will see that and divide you once again.
Well, that's why, and I'm gonna get to you, Gideon. That's why I would say, you know, instead of, because I hear a lot of black revolutionaries talk about one group saying spirituality, then you have the Hebrews over here, you got the Muslims over here, you got
The Rastas over there.
Rastas over there, you got the comedians over here. And I'm just
7%ers.
like, 7%ers, you got the black atheists over here. So I'm saying, you know, I know one thing that we won't disagree on is clean water.
Right.
We won't.
I know we can all come together and say, you know what? I know you and your family want clean water. You and your family want clean water. So we can unite under that banner instead of philosophizing and theorizing and, you know, debating. Because we kind of go in circles with the whole spirituality thing.
We do.
I've seen
We do.
spirituality turn into religions and religions turn into gangs.
Exactly.
They are gangs.
Right.
Let me just say this to my brother who
Okay.
said we weren't talking about things that's going to help this grassroots community. First of all, the key to our success is within you. This program is an opportunity for you not only to participate, which you did and we thank you for,
That's right.
but it also gives you an opportunity to network with other people who want to do things that are right, just, and decent. America, it's water, it's community, its resources are all being derived from the oppression of the world community. And the European nations that have come together to suppress these communities have a power, and it's called a military. You and I, though, have a power. It's called communication. It's called love and networking. If we want to help each other and help our community, you don't vote for and support the system that's trying to destroy you and your future, which are our children. You form coalitions, whether it's through your church, your gang, your group, and you start trying to figure out how you're going to feed each other and help your members of your family, which helps all our families to stay alive and help our children to be educated about the truth, the real truth, who we are as a people, and what our true history is. If you do that, you help the community.
Wait a minute again. You said voting, being I guess a false distraction.
It's false
system.
hope.
Okay.
You know, hope is in and of itself is hope, and it's real, but it's what you have hope in. You may have hope in that pen that's going to save you. Hope is good, but that pen ain't going to save you.
Okay, but well, let's look at California. Let's look at Khalifa. The grassroots, you had something as far as Monsanto.
Yes.
So they all came together.
Okay.
Dave, you're from California.
Yes, I am.
Now Gideon said, voting is an evil thing, but yet they used that voting mechanism to come together. Because you had Hispanics, you had Latinos, blacks, whites.
That's right.
Were come together on a common, we like clean food.
Right. Exactly.
So, when you talk about grassroots, you talk about gangs, you talk about the working class, you talk about all people that's saying, look, we don't want no genetically modified food.
Right.
Exactly.
We don't want to feed our kids something that's grown in the laboratory.
Exactly.
That's right. And I agree with that. And and there again, we all did come together for that because it's dealing with, like you said, clean food and clean water. So that was a necessity for nourishment for the body. So of course we're all going to agree on the core.
Right.
Here's the thing. Anything outside of that becomes a division.
Right.
I agree.
Anything outside of that becomes a division. If there's anything that's going to sustain my life, food and water, and we want it clean, we all can agree. But anything outside of that, and if it has to deal with money, if it has to deal with a power, if it has to deal with a certain ethnic group against one or another, or depending on where you live or what type of tax is about to be on the people, we can never come to a thing of an agreement.
Wait a minute, Dave. You mean to tell me that we can't come together with other working class people and agree to tax the rich?
Well, you understand.
It's a simple concept.
Here's the thing. Here's the thing. And most people, like we hear the information, most people are sold out on what they hear.
Right.
So I may be a person making $30,000 a year. Guess what?
Okay.
Just because I'm making $30,000 a year, I don't want to hear what you say. I agree with what's over here, what they're saying. Hey, the rich is giving us jobs. What are you saying?
Right.
They're giving us jobs. Well, I'm taking care of my family. What are you saying? So that's my argument against you. And the one who's controlling looks and says, there's a puppet.
Right.
Oh, man.
There
Ooh,
you
hit
go.
me with the uppercut with that one.
Well, see, that's why he's a wise man.
Wow.
But see,
Yes,
the
yes.
GMOs, there's a two-edged sword here. Because first of all, we send our children to colleges.
Yes.
We put them to school, put them in private schools because we want them to get the best of education. And we've been told that the sign of a very educated, sophisticated society is its technology. So on one hand, we're talking about sophistication, geneticists, we're talking about fields of study and research that have grown into this industry that we now know as one branch is genetically modified
Wait,
foods.
Gideon. I'm smart enough to draw the line. I'm cool with the iPads and the Nintendos, but don't mess with my food.
But see,
It's
now
not-
you're
it's not
talking about a
complicated.
moral imperative. And see, here
Right,
we
don't
come
mess with
to,
my food,
wait a
but yeah,
minute,
let's
though.
give me my
As
iPad.
a non-believer, you should be down with the scientists.
No, I'm down. No, I'm saying no. What I'm saying, see, we trying to make this complex. It's simple. I'm down with the iPads. I'm down with the PlayStation, the flat screen, but don't mess with my food.
Well,
It's
iPad,
simple.
PlayStation, and flat screens have a they have a specific absorption rate where the batteries in them produce an electromagnetic field that kills our sperm. See, once you begin to look at anything that white supremacy has created, there's always a downside. So our only point I'm making when we talk about those who have been raised in America and they look at their children and their education as a feather in their cap, if their son grows up to be a geneticist and he works for Monsanto, that family is going to be proud of him, even though he's creating food that ultimately will destroy his seed.
Okay, and you know what? And Dave, Gideon, y'all can jump in. I'm about to ask this question. I'll make a statement. I'm just going to say this. It's going to be hard to turn black people, white people, Hispanics against technology. Because every time I go to the black conscious community, oh, I ain't going back to Africa and live in caves and throw spears and, you know what I'm saying? You're taking away their luxuries, especially the black woman. You're talking about divorce rate right there.
But see, this show,
you're talking about divorce. You're talking
this
about
show, my show, Dr. Lowry's People's Agenda program, these are organizations that are beginning to bring people in. On this show, we know how many times we've talked about labels on this show today for the first time? Once.
Right.
You mentioned you were an atheist. I'm a Hebrew. And
right.
once we get rid of the labels
I agree.
Exactly.
and start talking, looking at each other as brother and sister again,
I agree.
then we can start working toward common goals of interest.
Right.
But it starts with what we're doing right now, and that's communication.
That's it.
Sitting around the table.
And I agree, not only with my brothers and sisters, like on the panel, and within, you know, the African community, but the European community,
Asian communities,
community,
Hispanic
Latin,
community.
right, because one thing come and go I can see amongst all them people, they all want clean water. They all want natural food. You know what I'm saying? I haven't met not one person debate me on, no, man, I don't want no clean water. So,
But do
what I'm
you
saying?
know how America keeps us away from the rest of the world population? Through media. In America, go ahead, bro.
Okay, go
Come
ahead.
on, come on.
Yeah, I
in
know
here.
you
Come
were
on.
This is what I feel behind that. You know, when you said about the clean water and clean food, I'm all for that.
Absolutely.
I am too.
We're all for that. But here's the deception.
Thank you.
How can I trust you to hold up the other end of the bargain?
Exactly.
To make sure, because when it's money, big money up off in here, the rules change.
Thank you.
The rules have
Always.
always changed. So you know, what you're saying, you're just a voice. Does your voice match that stack of money over there? Do you match the transfer of millions and billions going by seconds, day and night?
That's
you're just
right.
a voice.
That's right.
Do you match that? No, you don't.
You don't.
So since you don't match, then I can continuously keep doing, yeah, I might change a label or two.
Right.
Right.
I might make you feel that I'm doing this and that.
I might even give you a day on the calendar.
Exactly. Exactly. So I'm going to do whatever it is to
Pacify.
exactly and
All
make
right.
you feel a certain way.
All right, 770-559-2999. Man, I'm getting smacked around up here.
No, my brother.
No, I mean, you know,
Yeah.
metaphorically speaking.
Yes, you
You
are
know,
right in the midst of it.
I'm trying to play devil's advocate. I'm
Yes.
trying to be the representative of Monsanto and the 1%.
Well, see, what we need to do, we don't necessarily need to talk to the elites, the Al Sharptons, the Dr. Lowrys, the Jesse Jacksons. We don't need to talk to them because they're yesterday. We are
Okay.
standing on their shoulders.
Right.
We're
All right.
standing on the shoulders of the work of the civil rights agenda. But what the mistake the civil rights agenda made was to turn back to the same government that was perpetrating the evils on them for the remedy. How do you go to the lion and say, stop eating me if you're a lamb? The lion will surely give you rhetoric and say, sure, next year I'll talk to the Lion Council. We plan on stop eating you all.
Well, Gideon, you can take people like Al Sharpton. He makes good argument points. You can't refute, like when Romney was talking about states' rights.
Right.
Historically, states' rights is not for black people.
You know.
So he's right in that sense. He does have a lot of his facts lined up.
Well, but see, what he doesn't realize is that states' rights is just that, the right of the state. Each state has its own set of laws.
I agree.
The states don't have a uniform code of conduct for each state. You go one state, there's one set for, let's say, seatbelt rules. In another state, it has a different set of rules for seatbelts or motorcycles or whatever. Go ahead.
Okay, we got the caller. Caller. Go ahead, caller.
Hello, yeah. Hello, greetings. I want to talk about I understand the topic you're talking about, but check it out. What about the little ships that are flying over Georgia every day and you see that white debris that comes out of that ship. What is that? That's along Monsanto's where they're have y'all checked that out? Nobody's talking about that seed in the clouds. What about back in the days, skywriting? All of that was seed in the clouds. They played it off as skywriting. You know, come on, let's get real. What's up with them little ships? Nobody's talking about that. All right, peace.
So, Dave, what do we do as far as forming coalitions to answer her question? She said we're not doing anything about it. Now, Gideon said don't vote. Let's just pray about it. And I'm saying,
no, I mean, we got to pray about it.
I mean, well.
Let me speak to that chemtrail thing. Let me just because see, let's recognize
first we have to
of
pass
all,
policies to.
Well, combustion engines are going to produce an exhaust.
Okay.
So I mean, come on, let's go now. Once we move
back to
past
the technology,
we're back to the technology. But now we move past that. We do know that there are cloud seeding techniques and technologies. We do know that they're using idiotic schemes like putting chips of aluminum in the outer atmosphere to help to reverse global warming. They're doing all type of insane things through their technological advancement, but they can't reverse the irreversible. The domino effect has happened. The global eclipse, I mean, you having global climatic phenomenon unlike the earth has ever seen because of the conditions of the earth is changing every time that those oil rigs extract vital oil out of the anatomical structure of the earth. It takes away the balance of the earth. The earth came here with everything intact, and man has displaced that. Because of that balance, we've already seen the earth slow down its rotation, and we've seen the earth warming. We're going to see global waters rising because the water is going to go somewhere that's coming off of Greenland and the mountains, and it's creating a total climatic shift that will affect everybody on the planet.
Okay, so Dave, you talk about the Bilderbergs, Barack Obama, the bloodlines, the Illuminati, but they got to eat healthy too. They got to deal with the climatic environment too. So you know, you got Barack Obama who put policies in place to protect the earth. So I mean,
okay, let's look at it like this. If I'm elitist, I'm going to have choice cut. I'm going to have the best of best.
Right.
You know, so whatever that's out there now, for instance, you know, I've seen a number of times Barack Obama stop at 5 guys to go get him a hamburger.
Okay.
Or the varsity.
Or the varsity, whatever it may be, you know, he's going to stop to go ahead on and do whatever. So that's, to me, that's like an image being sold. You know what I mean?
Okay.
Right.
He's
endorsement, right.
Exactly. He's endorsing and doing whatever he has to do. But the ones who's already in control, trust me, they having the best of best. Why do you think of all these underground tunnels where they already growing the best of food?
Thank you.
They have the best of water, not being tampered with stuff up in the sky.
Right.
Yeah,
I mean, if you do your research, you see this stuff. You go in Arizona, you go in Kansas City, you see all this stuff. I mean, we're talking about stories up underneath the ground.
Wait a minute. Let's go to the prison.
Exactly.
The prisons are self-contained metropolis cities where they produce their own food. The only thing they don't produce is air. But water, they clean their own water, they produce their own food. It is a self-contained city. We could do the same thing. We did it in Rosewood. We did it in Black Wall Street. We were doing it on Auburn Avenue, Simpson Road. And every time we did it, they came in and destroyed everything that we set up.
But this is why I got to deal with the technologies, gentlemen. You're building underground fallout shelters.
Absolutely. They've been doing it.
What I'm seeing a failure here is people to realize that the earth is a living organism.
It is a living organism.
So just like the body, it shifts, it changes. So who's to say we go to these underground oases and get trapped underneath there?
Well, we're not going to go.
I mean, but
with the money.
Yeah, that's folks who are going to go with the money. We're not going to go, so we can put that out there. We're not going to go. I mean, they showed you that in 2012. The movie.
Okay, but
there you go.
Okay.
You have to have a certain amount of money to play a ticket to get where you got to go. If you don't have enough money to get the ticket, then you stay up here with the rest of them.
That's just like I'm going out of space. Now the rich are buying tickets to travel to the space station already.
Okay, but see, the only thing I have with the space stations and the underground shelters is you still have the earth that have elements. There's a certain code in order to live on this planet.
Yes.
Exactly.
There's a certain code of elements to live on Mars.
Absolutely.
There's a certain code and element in temperature to live on Uranus, Venus, and so on.
Absolutely.
So this Earth is genetically made for us to live on.
Absolutely.
Now there's other
We came
life
from it.
forms,
We
right?
came
that,
from it.
Right, right. I always like to say this to the people who are spiritual and all that.
Right.
Water is a life form.
It is.
You know,
it is.
oxygen
Fire
right,
is a life
fire
form.
is life form. So
Exactly.
right. So there's life forms on other planets, but we don't recognize it because we're in the combination we're supposed to be in. You notice
Exactly.
everything living being has an eyes and nose,
Yeah.
whether it be
It
insects,
breathes,
right.
reproduces.
Whales, right, reproduces, right. But you have, you have other life forms, so who's to say that, like I said, if you affect the Earth, it can crush those underground fallout shelters.
Oh, yeah.
You go out in Mars, well, you limited on the air because the air is not designed to be up there. It's a certain
I understand.
combination that allows the air to be in this atmosphere.
Absolutely.
So
understand.
scientifically, it's not making no sense here. So Barack Obama, I think he's smart enough to say, look, I mean, I'm still on this planet.
Right.
As elite as much money as you may have,
Right.
you still have to look at the Earth's best interest.
But see, you have to realize Barack Obama is a CEO, corporate executive of this corporation we call the United States of America, Inc.
Right.
He works for
And I agree
a
with that.
board of directors.
Right. I'm not.
Those are the Illuminati, the Rothschilds, the Bilderbergers, all these elite people. Barack Obama is a puppet for the elite.
Okay.
The corporate elite that run from the wealthy families that give them their financing.
Right.
So when the banks went under, what did Barack? He went back and got his word from the higher ups, and they said bail him out.
Right.
When the car industry went under,
That's
he
right.
went back and got his word, and they say bail him out, because it is oil that is fueling all the wars
Everything.
on
That's
the
right.
planet. So
Absolutely.
in essence, when you stop using oil, there ain't no more reason to fight.
There's oil that's fueling all the wars, and there's oil that's killing the masses of the people.
Thank you.
So like we spoke earlier,
That's right.
when you look at a bottled water, any bottled water that you get, and you see the residue, when you see the water spots up on
Yes.
a bottled water, you're actually seeing the oil,
Yes.
that crude oil from there. When you grab some Tupperware,
Yes.
you see the water that's in the base of the cup Tupperware. When you see the skillets that's out there, the non-sticking skillets,
That's right.
and you see the water, you're seeing the oil. So all that stuff is coming in and creating and destroying the structure within.
Toxins.
Exactly. So that when you know, the elitists know that if I put enough of toxins in your community, if I have you drinking this toxin, if I have you grabbing a cell phone and doing whatever you needed to go ahead on and do with all these toxins, surely some time ago, you're going to pass away from here.
Exactly.
And so if you're a smart man and you're a smart man, by time going by, you won't last long to get out the truth.
Exactly.
So I can kill you off and I can kill you off.
Right.
So now as I kill you off, the new generation that comes, I can tell them what I want because
Anything.
I control the cards.
Right.
Now, Dave, Gideon, now, you say you might control the cars, but you still have threats greater than you and me and Gideon. You have countries, like I said, I've seen a pattern like Syria, like Libya, like Iran, and they have big brothers like Japan and China. Their economical system is a threat to America's economical. You got socialists and you got capitalists.
That's right.
So, do you see a conflict with, as you guys say, the bear and the dragon?
Yeah, well, there is a conflict. The conflict has to do with who controls the resources.
That's right.
Not
Right,
necessarily that, because the resources are there for everyone. But when you have industrialization destroyed the air, it destroyed the water, and it's destroying the earth. It's industrialization, the mechanization of mankind, because it uses the resources, and it does, because they're not non-organic, it does not replenish and they're not renewable. And when I say not renewable, with plastics, that's the fuel for this next fire that's going to engulf the
Right.
planet. All these plastics, it's in the
Exactly.
water, it's
Right.
in the air. I mean, they have plastic everywhere, and it's
Choke
going to
out the
fuel the
oxygen.
fire.
Yes.
But when we talk about mechanism or technology in general, when you look at most circuit boards, they're made out of what? Plastic.
Plastic, that's
Exactly.
right.
So America's whole system is a house of cards. In the past, they used to make things to last for as long as they could. Now, they manufacture obsolescence because it's designed to keep you buying, and the trash that this country produces in 1 year can fill up one of these small countries.
Now, during elections, I've heard this during the first run with Barack Obama. They always joked about him being a socialist president. But, you know, when you talk to the workers, you know, you have all these situations with Walmart, McDonald's, you know, the lower wages jobs, basically to 99%, because we're losing our jobs and being shipped all over the world.
Thank you.
Basically, they're never coming back.
Right.
My thing is solution. I mean, you know, the working class, it seems like we're in a different, I mean, we fund capitalism.
Right. Thank you.
But I think when we have a hard time convincing people that capitalism is not in our best interest as a worker, as a working class.
Go ahead, Dave. I'll come back after you.
I think along those lines of what you just got through saying, that sometimes you have to do what the leader is doing, because if you're shipping away jobs and you're outsourcing, I know of countries that pretty much has taken the mark of seeing other companies shipping stuff to China, shipping stuff to India. What they do is, okay, I'm an independent contractor. I'm gonna do what India does.
Right.
I'm a outsource just like you. I'm gonna get it done cheaper, and I'm gonna bring that thing back to create more jobs. Because to say that you're gonna do it here in this land, when all the resources is pulled from you, remember, you're one person, or maybe a few. When the resources is stretched and is pulled out and is going out to, from domestic to foreign and to international, you have to play the game, and you have to use your mind to bring that thing back. You have to take it from where you are and say, well, you know, I want to just open up such and such here and there. You got to do exactly what the corporations and flip it right back to where it's over here, because they understand that if you let them do it, you're going to sit and wait like a ship waiting for a